We start walking on Montebello Preserve's Skid Row Trail, which is wide enough for a car and open to the sun. There are bald hills in the distance. We pass by toyon, a perennial shrub native throughout the western part of California and the Sierra foothills. It has hundreds of bright red berries on the ends of its branches. We travel into the lush forest that has many trees covered in green moss, ferns, and low-lying plants. We spot some dendroalcea. It's a native California moss and often covers entire tree trunks. Mosses have been around for more than 450 million years and survive drastic climate changes. They can live at temperatures ranging from negative 272 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius. We spot a gray-black ball with a rough texture that is attached to a dead log. This is a mature Daldinia concentrica from the division Ascomycota. The common name stems from the story about King Alfred, who took refuge in a peasant woman's home when he was on the run from the Vikings. The peasant asked him to watch her small loaves of bread cooking by the fire. He forgot and let the cakes burn. Fairy ink cap is an edible mushroom that grows to only 1.5 centimeters tall. Their caps are at first egg-shaped, then bell-shaped, and are pleated. They are beige when young and turn gray as they age. Fairy inkcap has gills and lives on decaying wood. We see about 50 mushrooms growing on a decaying log. These are called false turkey tails. Its cap has orange and brown concentric circles. It is a shelf mushroom that literally looks like small wavy shelves lined up on the log. False turkey tails mimic Trametes versicolor, or true turkey tail. The biggest difference between the two is that false turkey tails have smooth underside, and turkey tails have a porous underside. We turn left onto the White Oak Trail and head uphill through the forest in search of more mushrooms. We find a single yellowish-white round ball on the ground that is covered with hundreds of tiny spikes. Remember, puffballs store their spores inside. A gem-studded puffball is edible when young and white. At maturity, a small hole opens at the top of the fruit body. When compressed by a passing animal or raindrop, a smoke-like cloud of spores is released. Growing out of a decaying tree along the trail and surrounded by bright green moss is artist conch. The parasitic yellow flat-footed fly's larvae lives on the fungus and stimulates the production of galls that produce cylindrical growths on the pore surface. It got its name from early settlers who used to sketch on its white underside that stains red when scratched. This mushroom is more than 1 foot across and takes years to grow this large. I found a photo of an even larger conch that is so sturdy a human can stand on it. We pass by Stevens Creek and decide to take a walk through the leaves and plants to get closer to the creek. Searching the ground cover, we find a newt. The rough-skinned and California newts are very similar in appearance, and it can be extremely difficult to differentiate between the species. Both are light brown to black on the upper body and orange to yellow on the underbelly. They both have granulated skin. One way to tell the difference is that rough-skinned newts' upper teeth form a V shape, while those of the California newt form a Y shape. But this newt's too busy to stop and smile for us. This 2-inch long newt blends in perfectly with the twigs on the ground. The twigs are so large compared to its body size that the newt has to work hard to crawl and climb over the twigs and plants on the forest floor. Turkeytail is common to the California woodlands. Its cap color ranges from brown to red, with concentric zones of light and dark bands and slightly fuzzy hair. We hear the sounds of a pileated woodpecker call and drumming in the forest. We hear the sounds of a chestnut-backed chickadee. We find a dusky-footed wood rat's nest. These rats are primarily vegetarians, nocturnal, and solitary except during the mating season. Their nests are built out of large piles of sticks, branches, and other debris. It's an elaborate structure with many rooms, tunnels, and entrances. They have separate areas for defecation, sleeping, giving birth, and food storage. Some wood rats' nests are over 60 years old, passed down through the generations. Since wood rats are solitary and their nests are large, the nests can be occupied by other small animals like mice, lizards, frogs, snakes, and salamanders. We come out of the forest and into the sunshine and grasslands and see birds in the bushes and the sky. We see a peregrine falcon flying across the sky. These are the largest falcons in North America and the fastest diving birds, reaching more than 200 miles an hour to catch their prey, and spotting them from almost 2 miles away. Looking into the scrub, we hear a golden-crowned sparrow. Breeding adults have a bright yellow crown, and the upper half of its head is black. Next, we head down the Stevens Creek Nature Trail and back into the forest. About a quarter mile into the forest, we see turkeytail mushrooms with orange-colored tips growing on the end of a log. We pass a low wood fence along the right side of the trail and duck under a moss-covered tree that is tilted on a 45-degree angle across the trail. We spot crowded parchment, a semicircular, leathery mushroom about 3/4 of an inch wide that projects sideways on logs and stumps and sometimes fused together. This one is light green with blue and white rings and yellow tips. Crowded parchment is a wood-decaying bracket or shelf fungus that is especially partial to oak trees. It has no stalk. The species name, complicatum, means folded back on itself. These mushrooms look like mac and cheese doodles and are commonly called jelly fungus. There are at least 11 kinds of jelly fungi that fall within 5 genera. 3 of the jelly fungi are yellow to orange color. Tremella aurantia, or golden ear, looks very much like Tremella mesenterica, or witch's butter, and both parasitize other fungi. One way to distinguish between the two is their host preference. Golden ear parasitizes false turkey tail, whereas witch's butter parasitizes a fungus called Piniophora. All of the orange, yellow jelly fungi we see are adjacent to false turkey tail. We pass over a bridge that crosses Stevens Creek and walk over rocks to get to the creek. We hear Sierran tree frogs in the background and see water bugs swimming elegantly on the surface of the water. We are delighted to see a southern alligator lizard sunning itself on a rock by the creek. It is tan in color with brown and white markings across its body. We spot another brown granulated newt with a yellow-orange underside that is either a rough-skinned or California newt. It comes towards me through the grass and leaves and stares at me so I can take a close-up of its face. On a decaying log, see the small staghorn, a gregarious, gelatinous, and rubbery jelly fungus that grows to at most 1.5 centimeters tall and 1 millimeter thick.